Hello and welcome back, everybody. Game 1 in the books between DSG and MU, and even though we got to the big fight, we set it up. Baron was the focus. MU were on it. But then they turn, they take the fight, they catch Manui, the Dragons down, and they close it out quick here. Josh, it does not look like Maryville have really skipped a step since the end of the regular season.
It's true. They had a little bit of a kerfluffle at the very beginning, but then after that, it was all Maryville all the time, and they got to show us that they're not just an all-aggressive team. They're also able to play a very consistent, standard game of League of Legends. They were able to take that one down relatively cleanly, and I think the biggest thing as we start looking at our next game is, what does Manui play next? I feel as though their Smolder game might have been their best chance to find a win.
That's the tough part. It is Fearless Draft, so they cannot play the same champions that they played in any other games in the series. That means that he will not have a chance to pull that out again. And they were so close, Josh. I mean, in the moment, it felt like it was just shock that he went down. But then in that replay, we were like, oh, it's so tough. Anything changes in that. Either Poom doesn't hit the Tom Kench with the dredge line, or he's able to flash out. That's a Smolder fight waiting to happen right there, but it was not the fight that they got. So back to the drawing board. Let's catch up on the champions that we just saw in Fearless Draft. This means we cannot see these for these teams again. I think Smolder's the obvious one. What else do you think is super impactful here for either of these teams?
I was going to say the Trundle, but it does not seem like a character a lot of teams have really picked up on. And Maryville, they also, the only thing they're really losing here is the Xin Zhao, which is something that UG has had a ton of games on so far. The rest of it, you can kind of substitute out. We have seen the bottom lane have a lot of success and a lot of different pairings. And of course, Spyrex bringing out the Rise. I would hazard a guess that might be our first Rise this entire split in this league.
I feel like we might have seen it one other time, but I'm not going to say definitively because I'm unsure, but I'll buy time verbally for you to look up the answer while I talk about something else. Something I was very impressed with MU about was the fact that Scary Jerry Zyko have been dominating lanes left and right. As we get into draft for this next game, they drafted the Senna and the Tom Kench. And Scary Jerry played a very different style. I mean, he dies in the level 2 exchange because he didn't have heal, but then he roams the map. It was not about bot lane dominance. It's cool to see MU have a kind of a pivot play style for their bot lane. They're not a one-trick pony. They can approach the game different ways.
Yeah, and they have their most success on playing a certain way, but that doesn't mean they can't do other things. I did look it up. No Rise played during the regular season in Challengers League, and I can't imagine anybody played it yesterday either. But
I'm not completely caught up, but that might mean we're up to 105 unique champions. I've been keeping track because we had 130 unique champions last year in spring. Keep in mind, more teams were playing last year in spring. But with Fearless Draft, I was like, are we going to have more or less? I don't know what's going to happen this time.
Overall, during the regular season, we were at 108. So anything that we get new during playoffs adds to that number. So looking at this one, Disguise is going to be playing it from the blue side, which is usually the side that almost every team wants to play on because it is easier to dive the red side bottom lane, among other things. But looking at it right now, Disguise, they have a lot of freedom with what it is that they want to do. One of the things that I do want to see, is going for the strong bottom lane. Make sure that Manui and Poom have some freedom down here in the bottom side, because we were expecting the 2v2 kills to go in favor of Maryville, but Manui and Poom showcased that they could also do the exact same thing.
And we saw Varus also make it through the draft phase in Game 1. I was expecting Maryville to prioritize Varus over Senna. Maybe DSG were as well, but either way, they're like, we're not going to let Scary Jerry get that, because what Scary Jerry does in this champion is crazy. What will he play into it is the next question, but they're not going to opt for that right now. Orianna also made it through the first wave of bans, so they will grab this instead.
Yeah, I'm really curious if Maryville will want to try and go for the Smolder themselves. We also know that Scary Jerry, especially with this Recon pickup, has been really enjoying playing the Zaya as this very strong crit champion that you can still go for. We didn't even talk about it, but Spyrex did get the Orianna, probably the single strongest mid laner, especially now that Azir is not possible to pick up. It does feel as though Maryville have picked up what they need to have some success early on, and now it's going to be on Disguise to showcase how they want to play around this Varus, because it is a supremely flexible champion.
It can be susceptible to engage, though. It's fairly low range unless you're going lethality, and also doesn't have any dashes, so the Rakan-Orianna combo is kind of terrifying for Varus to deal with. Renata will help a little bit with that. You can help speed him up. You can help kind of disengage.
I just got to say that this combo, you have ungodly versatility in all areas, and you have the Dami Mommy energy coming through with Renata. So it does feel as though the copy pasta is already coming alive for Disguise, especially with the Xin Zhao also added on top of it. It's almost as good as having a Karma.
I'm scared to.
I just sent you the
bounce off of that. It's fine. Xayah's locked in. There you go. You predicted it earlier. So Xayah and the Rakan Lovers duo in the bottom lane. And it's Xin Zhao paired as the jungler for DSG. I mean, Xin Zhao is very strong in the meta right now. I do sometimes question it against comps that have a lot of shielding and disengage and peel. When I look at Orianna, when I look at Xayah, I'm thinking, I don't know if I love Xin Zhao just because you're not going to be doing enough damage to kill them on your own, and they also can just kind of kite and peel away from your engage.
Exactly. Usually when you see something like a Xin Zhao going into Xayah, you need to ask, what is it being paired with? You don't really want to go dive. It's just like scuba. You don't go diving on your own. You always want to make sure you have that dive buddy with you. Make sure you're being safe. And now Xin Zhao needs to find something to jump in with him. And so, with the Vi already taken off the table, that was never really something that Disguise were ever going to play. But Maryville does need to be aware of what they can do to make sure that Spyrex and Scary Jerry can stay safe throughout the course of this. And Lee Sin provides a ton of versatility.
Let's go! We get Yuji Lee Sin, everybody! Strap in! Because we've seen this guy do insane things on this champion all regular split. And if he can style on Perry and DSG, I think just more evidence to the claim that Yuji could be one of those frontliners. I know it's a regular season award, so anything done in playoffs would not apply for voting for most valuable prospect. But Yuji just keeps adding accolades to himself, you know, in almost every top 5 MVP list we've ever had, only missing one of them, and then also being
to be fair, in summer we only had a top 3.
True, he did only miss out the year that we only had top 3. That's
as somebody who was part of those discussions, usually was, if we did a top 5, he would have been there for sure. But looking at the remainder of it, we still need to see what the last pick is coming through. It will be Gragas, and I'm going to be real. I think that this is a very tough game for Disguise to try and win. The Renekton into the Gragas is a very tough matchup for the Crocodile to actually do anything into, because Gragas can out-sustain you very easily. He can shut down a lot of your damage very easily. He can disengage from everything you try and do as the Renekton, and the only real chance the Renekton has to build an advantage is similar to the Malphite matchup. You can try and drain Gragas of mana early in the game, but as soon as the first bat comes off from Gragas, it becomes very, very difficult. And at the same time, Maryville have a very aggressive bottom half of the map where they can play all points of the game relatively strong.
A lot of engage options for Maryville, and a lot of creative ones as well. You can use Lee Sin for Dragon's Rage or as a ball delivery system. Rakan, obviously, fantastic engage, but then that big explosive cast from Niles being non-committal on top of all of the other options that they have. DSG with the Hui in the mid lane and Renekton top lane. We'll have to try and break down what we think this comp is going to do as we get into the game, because their backs are against the wall. It is double elimination. A loss here does not mean they're out of the tournament, but it means that they will unceremoniously 0-2 their way into the lower bracket. A lot of pressure on these players to perform, to deliver for the fans. Let's see if they got it in them. And more importantly, let's see if we get another dance off. Here it is.
There it is, and no first strike. We heard that they were saying the first strike was pretty tempting. You don't necessarily want to miss out on the free gold at the very beginning, but there's nothing to actually play for other than that. And so Tenacity, I feel like his moves are a little bit better this time.
Oh, Niles is better. What are you talking about? Look at this guy. Hey, he's slapping his knees. Wait, is he slapping his knees or his feet? I don't
know.
Slap,
clap, clap.
All right. Hey, and of course, nobody else on the team is chill like they are.
Yeah.
Nobody's got the swagger like this.
That's definitely the reputation top players have, as being very chill. There we go. It is
this is a
Twee
beautiful
and
moment.
La. Feels like Avatar. Not the live action one. Either live action one, but, you know, the actual good one. Either way, Skies, they are now looking for this win. They do need to find it. It looked okay at the beginning of last game, but all of the individual play coming through from Maryville was too much for Disguise to handle, and now their lanes are not going to be in a situation where we should expect them to win. We know that Young will need some time in order to actually find advantages going up into Spyrex. He does have a strong level 1, but after that, it becomes very much Orianna favored for a while.
Also, a reminder, there are technically 4 live-action avatars you could be referencing at this point, so I am still
4?
confused.
Oh, Yeah, definitely the blue people, for sure. That's what I was talking about.
Well, that's what I was still confused. Anyway, let's keep up on the junglers, because you're talking about how the mid lane matchup can be affected. Well, let's see where the junglers are currently at pathing. It's full top clear for UG, full bot clear as of right now for Perry. I'm assuming he's going to go right to those Raptors after this. But UG's a little bit ahead of the clear. He's going to be a camp up as Perry starts this.
Yeah, the big part of this to note is I really like the fact whenever junglers are playing against Maribel that they have their junglers start towards the bottom side. Maribel haven't really been particularly good at punishing towards the top half of the map, partly because Niles is not as good at getting prio as bot lane usually is, but also because they just haven't gone for any invade to try and pick up on the fact that their opponents is starting on the bottom side of the map. They're much more willing to play standard on the side of Maryville as soon as they get the sense that that is what's happening. So Maryville will have Yuji coming down towards the bottom lane. These guys have not yet had time to ward for him.
Yeah, let's see if this guy's going to get a ward right now. Okay, they will get a ward down in the Tribe Rush before Yuji makes it. I was a little worried. I was like, if Yuji makes it there in time, he can look for a gank, but now he's spotted on the buff, so Perry will know exactly where the enemy jungler is, and is starting up his camps here. We should get them both at 24 CS about the same time, since Perry's hitting both the Gromp and the buff. We can see on the minimap right there, so very even start, all things considered. The big difference is actually top lane right now. Tenacity gets a full wave under, so Niles is going to have to catch that wave underneath that top turret.
Did a good job of limiting Niles' mana pool as well on the other side of the map. That does mean that he will have a better time, but this lane tends to get way more difficult as soon as Niles gets the opportunity to back away, get his first armor item, and potentially some mana, especially if he gets the circle glacial shroud thing that builds into Frozen Heart. That's one of the best things you can have in this matchup as the Gragas, just because you're going to be building into a good item. It's a good mana tool as well, and once that comes through, it'll be much tougher for Tenacity to really bully this lane out. But overall, a relatively calm start to the game. We'll see if Tenacity can try and hold Niles in this lane by saying you will miss too much if you try and back now.
Or he could Giga Chad, just go full AP, you know?
He could.
The grasp signals no, but
my heart signals yes.
Yeah, you get it.
There we go.
Perry's hovering the bot side right now. There is a ward in the Tribe Rush. Both these bot laners are just taking turns, pushing waves, dropping wards, and trying to not get dope. But now there's a free setup. Oh, he didn't get the cannon. Is that cannon going to go down? That's the only thing that matters right now. Oh, he got it. Okay, let's go, Scary Jerry.
All right, well done. So, I mean, we do have a very small mini freeze. Oh, mid?
Engage from Psycho. A lot of damage there onto Manui, as the Feather Recall does not actually land CC onto the Varus, but that's a lot of damage down even after ghosting. Manui not winning that trade.
Yeah, it's tough. There's so much burst damage coming out from Scary Jerry's champion. At the same time, a little bit better sustain in the lane as well. On the other side of the map, Yuji going to be picking up the first grub, getting the bonus EXP from that. He's going to be sticking around for at least one more. Doesn't have a smite.
Perry's here. Yeah, I can just smite this one away, as he does. Yuji's out of there, and now Perry says, well, that was your mobility spell. I will take the second one. So 1 for 2 Crub. Good for Perry to push out Yuji, who's ahead in levels. Now Niles under turret. Tenacity tanking here. Does not have nearly enough damage. Very curious what Tenacity's game plan was in that moment.
Well, he stunned the turret.
Oh.
So that was probably not part of the game plan. Make sure you use the tilde key. Target champions only. Yeah, Niles looking A-okay off of that one in disguise. Losing out on a bit of an opportunity to try and punish Niles, but at the same time, Tenacity is doing a pretty good job with this early lane. And we see that Niles coming back with a Sapphire Crystal and the Ionian boots will have a lot of tools. He does have a bit more mana to play with. And so it should get a little bit better from here, especially because Tenacity going with the extra boost to try and keep up with Gragas isn't necessarily building as much damage to try and take down this Gragas early on. But across the map, this is a much better laning game for Disguise than Game 1 was.
Actually very interested by the Merc Tread's purchase, but Manui might be caught out here. Flashes early and played that edge very close. Trying to bait everybody else in because he had the teammates behind him. DSG get their 80 carry out of there, but he's not on the wave anymore, so let's see how much CS he loses down here as Tenacity and Niles still duking it out up top side. Niles is going to want to get this wave in.
Yeah. I mean, good damage coming through at the same time, but Disguised and Maryville still looking to potentially tussle over this dragon. Spyrex does have the move faster, so that could be a big spot.
Nasty Tenacity gets the stun that time around. No turret in sight to tank up that auto attack, as Niles has used the explosive cast earlier. Must have been off camera. Tenacity's going to have Dominus up soon, so Niles actually in a really rough spot here.
Yeah, Tenacity doing a really good job playing out this lane so far, just continuing the fight over and over again. And Perry also going to be pulling out this dragon, so it looks as though Disguise, they're jockeying around the first dragon, should net them this objective. They got 2 for 1 of the grubs. They got the Cloud Dragon as well, and Disguise, they're setting themselves up for a fantastic fight, but Young might get cut out.
Yeah, UG's here, can look for the steal, or they can take the fight. Perry actually instantly jumps onto Spyrax, trying to deny any counter engage. Gets knocked back. UG flash kick, Dragon's Rage to seal Perry's fate, but he gets the bailout. Perry's out of there. First blood to Manui, and DSG walk out on top.
Once again, Disguise coming out with these early game skirmish wins. Not what we were expecting them to get going up against Maryville. And now, it should just be, again, probably the biggest lead that we've seen from Disguise so far.
This is ambitious for Scary Jerry and Zyko to walk up here. Yeah, Battle Dance back to safety. As that arrow almost kills Scary Jerry. Wow.
Down to 33 HP on that, and not enough mana. Nah, he doesn't have enough damage anymore. Kick him. But still, great stuff coming out from Disguise. I love this commit coming out from Perry, instantly flashing his way onto Spyrax and setting Young up for a perfect fight, right? As soon as everybody has to start moving to try and defend Spyrax, Perry is put in the perfect position for the bailout, just like you said. As long as he's able to get the kill, and the kill comes from the other half of the map, perfect position for Perry to continue the fight.
In Spyrax, he reversed order. He flashed, then Shockwave. Well, once you're out of the Xin Zhao ultimate, you're not doing damage. If you Shockwave and then flash, maybe there's a world that they kill Perry before the bailout lands. But again, not the world that we're find ourselves living in. Tenacity's going to take a 3rd plate for himself up here. Niles cannot stop him. DSG are in a fantastic position in Game 2, righting the wrongs from Game 1. They were heavily focused on a scaling bot lane. This time around, more focus on playing for the early game. They get the first dragon yet again. They're pushing for a first turret in the top half of the map. And everything's looking peachy for DSG in a very tough matchup seeding-wise. I mean, they're coming in here, 7th seed, up against the 2nd seed in Maryville. They're making Maryville work for this.
I think one of the big players that we do have to look at for this so far is Perry, right? The way they started things off when he was playing on Cincinnati Fear, he was absolutely fearless in a lot of the plays that he would go for. A major shot caller for the team, and from what we understand, still a major shot caller for Disguise as well. Leading the charge of Tenacity, we set him up to be potentially that guy at the beginning of the split. He hasn't been that for most of spring, but he is looking to be that in this game.
Absolutely is. And talking about the storyline behind these two players, we go all the way back to 2021. Oh, actually, we might have a dive bot, so we'll not go into monologue mode right now. We might be in play-by-play mode. Zyko could be the engage, or it could be UG. Watch for one of those.
There's a teleport from Young if he wants it.
Shots for Scary Jerry as possible. It's going to be Zyko that goes in first, but he's rooted. He's stuck in place. Can't quite get out of there. Bailout's huge. Manui might still live this one. Oh, barely doesn't get the kill in time. And doesn't even get the kill to boot. MU get out of there clean.
Really good try, but we're not done. The top side of the map, there is no mana here for Niles, and the wave is disappearing.
He's going to try and TP. Can Perry get the knockup?
One more.
3 strike. There it is. Niles' teleport is canceled, and they haven't even tanked up turret. It's easy peasy for Tenacity to walk up and take that kill under turret. Well done from DSG.
And the entire structure going down for Disguise. They come out ahead on that play, and they're stopping the backs here on the other side of the map at the same time. Tenacity and Perry linking up perfectly, and now might be the time for your monologue.
The dive's top side, the dive's bot side, working for each team that tries their attempt. But yeah, back to that monologue I was talking about, the top lane matchup. If we rewind the time, rewind the clock, there was a moment. There was a split. Some people forget it because it feels like a blip. Niles actually played LCS top lane in 2021 spring split. At that time, Tenacity still on the academy team for 100 Thieves. Actually, that even might have been 100 Thieves next. I'll have to check the official reports on that one. But Niles then comes back down, wasn't ready for that jump to LCS, and hasn't been able to make a big jump since. We kind of thought Niles wasn't even going to play this split for NACL, all things considered, but he's been having a great split regardless. Tenacity, very slow ramp up to it, trying to prove that he is still that guy, that his one split in LCS wasn't a fluke, and that he can make it back there as well. So the kind of pressure on both these top laners can't be understated. I feel maybe a little more for Tenacity since he's still focused on that dream, but now Zyko's catching out Boom. Doesn't have enough damage behind him from Spyrax though to go for a one-shot, so Boom's fine. Oh,
there he goes in.
Though. Yeah, jumps in, knock up on a Spyrax. Sees and desist, they got him. He's down. Rather hostile takeover coming in from Boom. Will lock down the Spyrax long enough.
Yeah, another pick on the mid laner comes very timely with 45 seconds left on the Dragon. Usually trying to equalize a bit.
Oh, he actually Dragon Rages.
Really?
Zyko, alley-ooped, gets the knock-up, but again, they just don't have the damage. It looked cool, but no effect for MU.
Yeah, and we do see at some point that Disguise also picked up a couple more of the grubs. They do have the Twitch chat on their side once again. Make sure you sub to the Patreon. But Disguise, they're getting ready for this Dragon. 20 seconds left until it actually spawns. They're going to be a little bit late. This is something that typically favors Maryville, but it doesn't feel as though they're strong enough to actually have a real advantage around this Dragon. It'll be more about the setup than about the items.
Okay, you gotta pick one, Josh. Are the grubs Twitch chatters or are they Patreon subscribers?
Oh, that's a good point.
Both.
I feel like they can be, because I can be simultaneously a Patreon supporter as well as a Twitch subscriber.
You know, you got a point. Well, MU starts.
Hey, here comes the teleport.
Flank coming in from Tenacity. How can DSG prevent this? Perry jumps in,
Whoa.
They're onto the Dragon. Yuji jumps out, but Tenacity's 1v5 holding the line for DSG. Niles in trouble. He's rooted down. He might just fall. Either way, Dragon secured for DSG. Incredibly played by Tenacity and Perry, pushing everybody off Dragon, zoning them off from the entrance to the river, and they get the objective.
Oh, that's always one of the most fun things you can do as a Crocodile. You get that teleport off. Tenacity is like, I will take everyone by myself. I just need to be able to stay in the fight. Really good stuff from Maryville to actually lose nobody in that setup. But again, Disguise coming out with a stronger early game than Maryville. Not a situation we are quite used to seeing in Disguise. The big stumbling blocks later came based on how they would go around their team fights around the Baron. We'll see if that is going to be a stumbling block for them yet again, if they are once again going to be picking up Rift Herald for themselves.
And I'm so happy that this is 2 games in a row the DSG are in the game. We were worried if we had gotten mid-season form DSG, if we got the last time we saw DSG versus MU, it was going to be a quick series. But at the second half of the split, the spring regular season, we said, are DSG back? they're looking cleaner. We see coordinated play, we see better drafts, and we see win conditions for the team. And then it was, okay, well, it was easier strength of schedule. How did they look against Maryville? And they're bringing it to Maryville every step of the way. They were close in that game 1. It was just one late game team fight that the Smolder dies, gets picked early, and they lose it. But they could have won that game. And this time around, very different draft, very different style, very different spike for the composition. But same results. They are making MU work for it and showing that they are not chumps here. They're not just going to let MU walk easily through the upper bracket.
Yeah, and Toast, you guys are in fact up right now. We'll see how long that can actually continue. The one other thing I do want to point out is, yet again, we talked about it a couple of times. You talked about the history of Tenacity and Niles, both playing the LCS. They have both had different opportunities to kind of be that guy, right? For a long time in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 ecosystem, Niles was the best top laner that we had. And then Tenacity was able to come along, and he was pretty undeniably the best top laner during his time on 100 Thieves Academy, where he was taking control of so many games, and now he's looking to find a play.
Doing stuff like this. Tenacity pushes everybody away from Zyko, who's got no backup because a Crocodile standing between him and his team. They pick off the support, and DSG can turn it into a bottom turret.
Yeah, and there we go. The Patreon subscribers coming right on through to help them take down this one. It's looking good all across the board. They're cut out a little bit from the mid lane, but we already see that there are objective bounties starting to form for Maryville. And uh-oh, Yuji.
Yeah, this is not your jungle, Yuji. Hate to break it to you. There's wards everywhere, and still a Crocodile hanging around. So Yuji does not get his own Gromp. Can look to path up top side, but DSG are just starving them of every little resource.
We'll see what they can do. Perry has been one of the best at using this Rift Herald for fast rotations, but this time he's going to take it right on into the mid lane, take down that structure. Everything.
Look at all those Patreon subscribers. Look at them go.
Oh, here's a fast rotate.
Going a different direction. Look at him go. We got the Drift Herald. Okay. It was just an express train to the scuttle, I guess. Wait, can he get back in it again?
I don't know.
And Zyko, no, Zyko can't get it.
that would be very funny.
Could you imagine?
Like, as soon as you spawn it, then there's suddenly a fight. You know, it's like GTA, but League of Legends.
You can pull them out of the car.
Or like, yeah, like Halo, right? You just get close enough, and then you kick them out, take the driver's seat. That's the League of Legends I want to see. But either way, we got a minute left until the 3rd dragon spawns. Now, Disguise did a good job. They got 3 dragons last game. It didn't matter because the soul never was really on the table. Nobody was ever playing for it. This time around, Disguise can play for it, but it's kind of a whatever soul. The one thing that does work really well for it is parry in particular. He will be relatively low in a lot of these fights, and also a prime target for the bailout coming through from Poom. So whoever has the bailout target going on them does get maximum benefit from Hex Tech Dragons as you get them. So if it comes up, I'll make sure to let you know, because it'll be the first time it has ever mattered in a game of League of Legends.
Okay, maybe a little sarcasm right there, but not sarcastic as Tenacity in a 1v5. How long can the Croc live? Longer than I'm comfortable with, but he will go down at the end. Scary Jerry picks up a big shutdown.
But they're losing a lot. The Twitch chat, the Patreon subscribers coming through to help out Disguise, take down multiple turrets here in the mid lane and the bottom lane. It's going to be 2 entire structures, it looks like, for Disguise in exchange for Tenacity's life. Yes, it's a shutdown, but you're also in perfect position to start going for this dragon at the same time, and Maryville not in a position to go for that. Instead, they're committing to playing towards the top lane turret and trying to get themselves another objective shutdown.
Okay, I still can't agree to this. We got to ask a poll in Twitch chat. I think we have the ability to make polls. Are the grubs, the little void grubbies, are they Twitch chatters? Are they Patreon sponsors, or are they both? We need to settle it right now, and I think Twitch is the only one that can make this decision for us. So I don't know who's got the power for that, if they're even listening.
For everybody else, they're Twitch chat. But for exactly Disguise, I think they're Patreon subscribers.
But can they be both? And that needs to be asked as well. And I think that we should give the power to the people to make the decision themselves.
Yeah, Little Void Mice, let's hear what you have to say. But at the same time, it is still a 3rd dragon going over towards Disguise. Still looking for even more stuff. Now, one of the things that Disguise does need to be careful with, even as I have a large gold lead, is when Scary Jerry finishes a 2nd item, they will actually have a real threat to go for the Baron. And picking off someone like Tenacity in these situations, if it were to happen again, that could very easily become a Rally Cry Baron buff going over to Maryville. And we'll see if they can dig themselves out of this massive hole they've found themselves in.
They still have a Wombo combo the DSG needs to respect. They don't have a Tahm Kench bailout like Bluesat had last time around against the combo. So if the Orianna, if the Gragas, if the Lee Sin all hit the Hui, hit the Varus, hit the Renata, you can blow them up quite fast. Especially if it's that Renata, because the bailout is going to be harder to hit if you're already CC'd. So DSG need to respect that and not play too far up. Right now they're playing for the Baron as they lose the bottom turret.
Yeah, Niles will have plenty of time to back away. He's already teleporting into the mid lane. They get the teleport, but the structure was already lost.
Spyrax teleported into the mid lane, so it's going to be very delayed from Niles, but the Baron's burning very slowly. So MU have a lot of time to actually make this play work. They chunked out Young. Tenacity's tanking up the Baron. Now they're teleporting in Niles. So now DSG can make the decision. We just got 2 TPs. Do we back off? I think they should. Tenacity's over the wall. Flash forward by Perry. Immediately gets CC'd, and he's got out of position, has to jump back in. But Tenacity, with the long flank, will actually hold up everybody yet again, so they got time to clear Niles. DSG just keep playing these fights well, with Tenacity just frontlining for the most value I've seen from a Crocodile in quite a while.
Oh my gosh, we got to see the in a while from the Crocodile, and Spyrax, crucially, his Shockwave was not up for that fight. I don't know when it was used, but they did not have it. That was so close to the combination that Maryville wanted to use, but still, they end up walking away from that with only losing Niles. That is alright. They had to use a couple of teleports, but crucially, the Baron buff did not go over, and Maryville buy themselves a little bit more time. Spyrax has more of an opportunity. This was one of the players that we were saying was ready to play in the LCS this split, but instead playing for Maryville. This is his opportunity to showcase why we were so excited for him at the end of last year.
But I'm going to say it right now, I still favor DSG heavily in this position. It's not disaster for MU, but it's darn near close. They don't have a teleport to answer the Baron anymore, which means a bot wave should belong to DSG. Tenacity goes right down there, can push this in, and he's got his teleport. So DSG can still look for this Baron play.
Yeah, but the distances have become shorter. It doesn't take nearly as long to go from your own inhibitor turret towards the Baron. With 2 minutes left before the Dragon spawns, we'll see what the priorities for Disguise have been. This has been one of their stumbling blocks for most of the split. The shot calling was a bit confused, but this has been one where they have been doing a good job. And so Maryville, I'm kind of hoping to see a repeat of a lot of that fight, because we saw that Zyko and Yuji and Niles did a good job. The major problem was that there was no Spyrax to actually layer on top of everything else, whereas Disguise, I feel like they only really won that fight because of how much more money that they had.
They had a lot more money, and again, Tenacity has a monster flank. He didn't get a kill for it, but he just zoned off everybody from MU. And, I mean, this guy's been showing up. We asked the question at the beginning of the year. We've been asking it throughout the spring split. Can he still be him in this league? He wanted that to be kind of the legacy that he left as he went to LCS. And now on the way back down here, he hadn't had the quickest beginning, but performances like this, very impressive. Even if the KDA isn't keeping up, the impact is certainly there. As Baron started up yet again by Perry, Tenacity is still hovering the bottom side. They can always peel off of this and let Tenacity go for the turret, because Niles has to answer this.
Yeah, but Tenacity is already here, and Perry's just slowly taking it. He would eventually solo it.
Ooh, Koolman and Manui are fighting the 2v2 against Zyko and Scary Jerry. And DSG back off the Baron. It was just a bait to try and pull everybody down there. They still have pressure bot side. Tenacity can still get there a little bit faster than Niles can. Very slow play that we see so far. Nobody's willing to just commit to the fight, but here we go. We might get it finally. Zyko has to battle dance out of there, or grand entrance rather. And now we got a little bit of a stare down in the mid lane, Josh.
I mean, this is really good for Disguise. They have the advantage, and they're looking at Niles.
Niles takes a huge chunk right there. Still has the ultimate available, and now teleport is off cooldown. He can back, heal up in the fountain, and then teleport onto the rift. So DSG did not get much done with that teleport advantage they had other than the dragon. We have Perry starting it up right now, and MU are teleporting to the Baron side of the map, so this could just be Soul.
Yeah, Young has no ultimate, though. As they're starting to push their way in, we'll see Manui around the corner, not trying to make the same mistake.
Shockwave and Explosive Cast both available. UG focused down. DSG still on the Dragon. It's down to half health. And yeah, this play's doing a lot of damage right now. Here comes the engage. You jump in there. They find Zyko, but it's CSG that are turning it around. They absorb the engage. They get the Dragon Soul. And DSG are stopping MU in this fight. Maryville took the fight a little bit too late. They waited too long to pull the trigger. Now Scary Jerry's getting chased down. Tenacity picks that one up. That's everything on the rift for DSG.
And it's going to be the Baron as well. They're going to continue taking this one down. We saw Maryville. This has been uncharacteristically all over the place. People not going at the same time. Disguise has been pouncing on that. I don't think I've seen Disguise look more confident than they have in this game today. The way that they're playing, the way that they're setting up, has been so much better than everything they've seen with the Hextech Soul completed, with the Rally Cry Variant buff in their pocket at the same time. They have everything they could possibly ask for to try and end the game. And, crucially, they need to try and do it in the next 5 minutes. It's not obvious that they will still be stronger by the time this Elder Dragon actually spawns. These guys need to open up the base of Maryville here, and they should have the tools to do it.
That teleport from Niles, I just keep going back to, teleported to the Baron side when they had a ward in the bottom river. Could have looked for the Dragon side instead. I think MU just had a different read as to what the tempo play was. They assumed we were still fighting for Baron. DSG said, nah, we're happy to go for the Dragon, and of course MU in an awkward spot. Now Niles goes for a flash engage here, trying to catch out Manui. Can they kill him? They can't even take down the AD carry. DSG absorbed the play and give it right back to MU.
Oh my, I love the look coming up from Maryville. They just didn't have the damage to take him down, and this is gifting the game on a silver platter to Disguise, and it looks like we're going to game 3.
Baron buff a full wave, and all those Patreon subscribers helping them out. DSG can walk this wave in and even up the series against the number 2 seed, the team that we thought might be top dogs now after FlyQuest struggled in their series versus AoE, but DSG say, nah, We heard 40% chance of an upset today. We want to make that a reality. A little more work to be done here, but they will take down the Nexus, and they will bring us to a Game 3.
Alrighty, we got to give a bit of a congratulations to Disguise. Nobody really expected them to be able to take a game off of Maryville, and this is a fantastic look from them. I really thought our upset was more likely to happen later in the day, but already pushing our top dogs. We got to see FlyQuest lose one to AoE, and Game 3 was an absolute banger. Now Disguise trying to do the exact same thing. This playoffs is looking a lot closer than I think anybody was expecting.
Shame on us for doubting them, but congratulations all the fans watching at home. I'm sure that they're hyped as we're getting ready for Game 3. We're going to send it to a short break before we come back and figure out who's taking the series. We'll be back after this.
Introducing the new Footlong Sidekicks at Subway. Try the warm and delicious Footlong Cookie, Footlong Pretzel, or Footlong Churro.
With the spring regular season nearing its end, we gotta talk most valuable prospect. And there's one player who has been a nightmare for his lane opponents, Scary Jerry. Now this isn't 2023 Scary Jerry. The man has been constantly working his butt off to improve, and it shows massively in the stats. As of week 6, Scary Jerry currently leads the charts with a threatening 9.4 KDA. Him and Psycho put relentless pressure in the bot lane, so much so that Scary Jerry takes first blood in nearly half of his games. He's top of the board when it comes to average kills per game at 6.5, and he also averages the least deaths in the league. The kid has a lot to flex about, and he continues to flex on picks such as Varus, Lucian, and even a Pocket Draven. If you want bot lane brutality, keep an eye on Scary Jerry.
Quad has been a beast this split, and for me it's been all about aggression. It starts in the laning phase, where he's leading all mids in CS differential at 15 and experience differential at 15. Transitioning that to teamfights, he's leading the league in DPM. Quad is picking high damage champions, and he's playing forward, looking to be a playmaker. And as someone whose time in Korea was ruled by the narrative that he wasn't able to transition his scrim performance to the stage, we've seen nothing but Quad performing on stage this split, and that's why he's one of our frontrunners for most valuable prospect.
My early MVP nod for Spring Split is none other than Maryville University's jungler, UG. Not only has he exhibited an ability to execute high-level mechanics in tense situations, he is also exceptional at marking targets in fights and understanding what his role in said fights is. Couple that with his tenacious focus on getting his bot lane ahead, and UG has been a terror for NACL junglers to contain. Also, in case you're behind on the lore, he hails from Mongolia, and while living there, he hit challengers on the Chinese, Korean, and EU servers, before coming to NA and doing the same here, making him one of the only players ever to hit challenger in all 4 major servers.
Lastly, we have a bit of a dark horse candidate. There were a lot of questions around how well Shochi would perform on another team where he wasn't getting the same level of resources, because we've seen what he can do when he's allowed to be the star of the show. He gets kills and makes plays like no one's business. But this split, Shochi has nonetheless made great strides in terms of finding opportunities to play more different styles than he's used to, and he's played more games on Taliyah, Orianna, and Karma this split than any of his traditional carries. Yet, he's still finding moments to shine and constantly still looking for plays. If he can continue this style of growth where we know he can be a strong carry and is able to take a back seat, he will be able to find success on any LCS team in the future. Who do you think deserves to be Spring 2024's most valuable prospect? Let us know in Twitch chat and hit us up on Twitter at Path to LCS.